How do we change the world? Maybe we have to start with ourselves. Hey, everybody, welcome to Voluntary Living with me, David James Rodriguez. We are building a world based on consent, self ownership, and freedom. And I am very excited today because we have a guest that's going to be talking about transformation and win win relationships, which I believe are the future of humanity. So, very exciting show today. She is an international speaker, author, co-owner of Klemmer Leadership, and a wife and a mother. And I'd like to welcome her to the show, Krystal Zellmer. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Dave. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so honored you spent some time with us because you're doing amazing things on the planet and specifically regarding transformation. I think this is going to be probably the beginning part of the conversation because my audience knows that we need to build the world that we want to see using the exit and build philosophy, not so much changing other people, but changing ourselves. And that's where the real challenges lie because of all the programs, all the habits, the school system, the media, all the stuff. It's like, well, what can I control? And on a good day, it's gonna be ourselves, right? I can control myself on a good day. Everybody else, not so much. So a lot of exciting things to talk about. What Klemmer leadership is, and some of the things that are going on in your world, and empowering the next generation. There's another concept we speak about here called intergenerational freedom, which is the transfer of the knowledge of the truth of self-ownership to the young people around us. And that was what we were speaking about earlier, is how do we transfer this information to the next generation? Because it seems to be the long-term hope of humanity is transferring this knowledge. And we can talk about the legacy of your father and all the amazing things you're doing there. So first, I'd like to start off with is what is transformation and why would any smart, wise individual out there want to learn about transformation for themselves?
Absolutely. So for me, transformation is the key to exponential, long lasting change. So there's lots of ways to change, and most people change through really soaking in conscious knowledge, right? And that knowledge is really incredible. It can do great things. It's just you'll find that that's going to create incremental change slowly over time. If you want large change in a short period of time, that's when you get to change the belief systems you have in your heart. When you do that, you have transformation, large amount of change in a very short period of time. And it tends
Mm.
to last a long time when done through experiential learning.
Mm, right. And that's what your organization is about, experiential learning. Talk about that because that seems to be, I've only done the first course and they have a variety of courses. But there's other transformational agencies that I've participated in, and I mentioned it in our call before. Um, I've learned more in like 3-day weekend than I have in like 5 years of college. And that's not an exaggeration because college and even school in general has us sitting in the bleachers watching other people, and these types of courses and life in general seems to be an on the field or on the court type game. And what is experiential learning for some of the people who haven't heard about this?
Yeah, when you have an experience of something, it shifts things immediately. An example I like to use is we're taught from a very young age, wear your seatbelt, wear your seatbelt, wear your seatbelt, wear your seatbelt. If you're a
Mhm.
good rule follower, you probably will over and over again. Some of us are a little more rebellious, takes a little longer for that to, pun intended, click in. And if you experience a car accident, that immediately shifts your belief system around wearing your seatbelt. You no longer need to be reminded. You no longer need to test it. You know that you know that you know you wear your seatbelt moving forward. If you have a significant other in your life, somebody you love or care about, they get in a car accident, they're injured because they weren't wearing a seatbelt, same philosophy, right? So, experiential learning basically is the quickest way we know of to create not conscious change, but to break that barrier and get new belief systems into your heart. That's why experiential learning is so powerful. And there's actually lots of studies now out around when you add play into the equation of learning, how much longer that learning lasts, how much more knowledge you gain immediately, and how much more you apply it starting right away. So, for us, we design our trainings to be experiential. We do that through lots of different ways: games, exercises, um, small group conversations, things like that, that you get you invested in the conversation right away. When you have an experience, you have a revelation, you transform your life at a much faster pace.
Right, so true. And actually, I see a little prop to your right there. Maybe you could share with the audience what that is and how that can be used in the context of play and transformation and changing how we perceive the world.
Absolutely. So we love a prop. This is something we are very famous for, is this set of sunglasses. I've already mentioned multiple times belief systems or subconscious beliefs, however you want to say it, programs, paradigms. People use a lot of different words for that same thing. We at Klemmer Leadership Training call them sunglasses. Now, here's my analogy for those of you who are watching. You see this. If you're listening, I just put on a big clown sized pair of blue sunglasses. Now, I want you to imagine that I was born in this set of sunglasses. I have been wearing them my whole life long. I don't even know sunglasses exist. I definitely don't know that I have these on my face. These are as much a part of me as my arm. I eat in them, I sleep in them, I work out in them, I go to church in them, I raise kids in them, I'm married in them. I've never had them off. I don't even know sunglasses exist. If that was true, and I was looking at, let's say, this wall behind me, I would say that this wall is blue. And if you're watching with me, maybe David, you might even help me out. What color do you think that wall is?
I see a white wall.
White wall. Okay. So just because you tell me it's white, does that mean I can see it as white?
No,
No. What if you insist that it's white? Can I see it as white?
no.
No, it's still blue. If you called me up every day after this interview for a month and you said, Krystal, you know that wall? It was white, 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 and hung up on me, I couldn't see it as white. Maybe you'd try to motivate me and you'd go, Krystal, it's white. I can't see it as white. For me, it's still blue. Even if I wanted to see it as white, I couldn't. It's still blue. What needs to happen in order for me to see that wall as white?
It seems you need to take the glasses off.
That's what most people tell me. And I might go, what glasses? What are
Mm,
you talking about? I don't even know sunglasses exist. And for a show like yours and listeners like yours, this I think is really a powerful portion of the process, because nobody else can tell me those sunglasses I'm wearing. If you tell me I'm wearing sunglasses when I don't know sunglasses exist, we'll just argue about it. I'll fight for my limitations and they will be mine. So we will personally, these sunglasses, I get to go on a discovery. I get to first discover that there is such a thing called sunglasses. Paradigms, belief systems, subconscious thinking, whatever that is. Mindset is another word that people use for this often. I get to go for a discovery to find my own. And once I bump into these and I take them off, boom, in an instant, I can see white where I could never see white before. It's that fast. That's why we say you can have quantum leaps of change in a very short period of time. It's not by how to's and it's not by motivation. Those things are great. It's by having a revelation of a belief system you hold in your heart. When you discover something like that, you have quantum leaps of change in a very short period of time when you bust through a set of sunglasses. And that's why we do play, games, exercises, all of that stuff. It's not really play, but it's games and exercises. It's all meant for you to have discoveries of belief systems that are operating you on automatic that you didn't realize were there. It's not
mm,
the ones that you know about that are tripping you up. You're just choosing to do nothing about those ones. It's the ones you have
mhm,
no idea are operating on automatic. Those are the ones that are influencing your results. Some for good, some not so good. And you want to take back the power over those choices so that you're making conscious, educated, personally responsible choices instead of the things that are operating on automatic.
Mm, love it. Beautiful. Okay, so let's play a little bit more with the glasses. So,
Yeah.
um, their paradigms, belief systems, and I think humanity is starting to realize, yeah, my beliefs are important. You know, how I think, my habit of thought is very important. How would you be able to identify someone's beliefs, or what's a belief that uh, somebody would be wise to see about themselves, and then they can maybe take them off, or just be aware that something is limiting some area of their life?
Absolutely. So, we say that you discover sunglasses two ways: notice your feelings and notice your behaviors, and work backwards at what would the thinking be that would drive that feeling or drive that behavior.
Mm,
So, when you begin to look at things, or I would suggest that you're going to get maximum growth out of attending a training, like a 3-day training. And
sure.
every moment for the rest of your life can be a training ground if you choose it to be, by noticing your feelings and noticing your behaviors and working backwards. That
Mm,
being said, it can be something uh, as simple as, for me, one of my deepest sets of sunglasses is I'm not enough. Now, who knows where that came from? Probably very early in childhood, but an
mm,
internal dialogue that runs for me often is I'm not enough. Well, if that's the case, and it doesn't matter what's happening, if my husband thinks I should have done the laundry different or more of the dishes, my internal belief system, so that's a feeling or a behavior, right? The behavior happens here. My belief system goes, oh, it's because I'm not enough. Well, the
mm,
second I filter everything through that belief system that I'm not enough, guess what? I'm walking through life and I'm not going to take as big of risks because I don't think I'm enough. I'm not going to put
mm,
myself out there because I don't think I'm enough. I'm not going to extend, or I'm going to go to bed at night exhausted because I constantly feel like I'm not enough. Now, that's just one belief system. There's thousands of sets that each and every single one of us are wearing, some that work, some that don't work. And you want to, and some work to get you here, but they won't work to get you where you want to go. They might build you $1 million company, but they won't build you a $10 million company. So this is where taking back control of being able to switch these on and off is going to be really powerful in leading yourself. And
yeah.
some other examples, because I know you asked for examples of sunglasses.
Sure. Oh yeah.
One of the belief systems that I see run so often, sets of sunglasses, is I know all about it.
Mm,
I know. I know. And most of the time it turns into I know and you don't. I'm right and you're wrong. That's another belief system that need to be right. So that's a huge one that runs. You'll have an awareness that I already know is running in your life, because people will share things with you and your immediate internal response, or maybe even your dialogue out loud, will be, oh, I know. And you want to kind of count up how many times you say, I know, during a day. If you already know, you can't learn anything new. You've already decided. Another set of sunglasses that runs pretty often is I can't. I
mm,
can't do that. I can't make a difference in my community. I can't run for office. I can't actually get laws changed. I can't, nothing that I do. I can't do that. That's impossible. It's too big. No way, not me. Well, if you believe you can't, when will you even ever try or get involved? You won't,
mm,
because you've already
mm,
decided it doesn't matter and it won't make a difference.
mm.
And there's thousands of these, right? I could go through them over and over and over again. Just depends on how many examples you want for your listeners in the show.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I think one of the most common ones that beliefs that I also have, and I think probably every listener has, is I'm not enough. And that might be from school, growing up, or something in the human psyche. I'm not quite sure. Like there's some measure that we have to get to be worthy. And it's like, no, you're worthy now. You know,
Yeah.
you're a child of God or nature, or whatever one believes, but like we're special creations in my belief, and
Yeah.
we're worthy at birth. And I think this is one of the key things that I want my audience to know and remember, actually, that you already know as a kid, you're just full of life and full of possibility. And at some
Mhm.
point, we're taught you have to do this in order to be worthy, or do this to get approval or to feel good about yourself. It's like, no, I can feel good about myself now for no reason. So is that one of the beliefs that you um, replace I'm not good enough for, or how would you address that if possible? Do you replace that belief, or do have some type of experience to create a new belief to emphasize and replace that one?
Yeah, that's the best way to overcome a belief is actually take it off and replace it with something new. Most people just want to crush the old belief. And the reality is, a void will not remain a void. Something will come back, and you want to be intentional around what that thing is. So, in this case, and I always, the powerful part about being in a training setting is I have my answer. And Dave, I believe you have your answer. And I believe every
Mm,
listener has their answer. So you want to
mhm,
pause now, reflect, and really think, okay, if I could choose a belief system to replace I'm not enough with, what would I choose? Because I really believe your answer is going to be the most powerful answer for you.
mm,
For me, I've had multiple iterations of things that I've replaced it with that have served me through time. So I think one of those was I'm worthy and I am a born again Christian, deep faith and believer, and not from this place of like, I'm worthy for any other reason than I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And I do believe that I have a calling on my life or a gifting, and I believe that about every single person. And if there's this belief that we're unworthy, meaning we need to carry like our head down and all that stuff, I don't think that's how God made us. So for me, it started with I'm worthy. It kind of moved into I'm capable. It turned into I'm responsible. And in a good way. And all of those different belief systems have encouraged me and allowed me to step into things that I didn't know I was capable of far before I would have without them.
mm. Yes.
It's like
So
growing a
good.
muscle.
Yes, right, exactly. Practicing it and getting stronger and even being conscious of it, being conscious
Yeah.
of our thoughts versus the subconscious, as you know, like the first 7 years is like 80% of our beliefs and something bigger numbers where children are just being, programmed with whatever around us, positive or negative, and we want
Yeah.
to say positive things to the kids. And one of the things that I really love also about Clemmer is the win-win paradigm, because this is, I think, fully coming here now and is expanding with voluntary living. It's got to be good. It's got to be good for you and good for me. Voluntary. Could you talk a little bit about the win-win philosophy and how you see it as important for you and the work?
Yeah. I just win win is something that I think a lot of people speak about, and not a lot of us really live on a day to day basis. And I won't pretend that I'm perfect in any way, shape, or form. You put me on a pedestal and you will be disappointed because I'm as human comes. And I think all of the people at our company, we do our best to not just talk the talk and walk the walk, actually walk the walk. And within that, we miss a lot. So I guess my first encouragement to anybody listening is don't think that anybody speaking from a place of mastery has it perfect. And within that, this win win paradigm is the belief that it's really not about you versus me. And that's not how we would define winning. And I think most people do define winning that way. In order for me to win, somebody else has to lose. And that's a majority belief system across the planet. And that's created a lot of pain and a lot of loss. And I don't think that it has to be that way. And we actually really believe in win win at our core as a company. And that has opened so many doors, and we really like to work with people on what their actual belief systems around win-win are, because it's one thing to talk about win-win, and it's another thing to show up uh in win-win when tested. And that's what we like to really create a space where people can see, what do I think I do and what do I actually do when I'm squeezed. That's what makes
Mhm.
experiential learning around win-win so powerful, because when you can really internalize and come from a heart belief system that in order for me to win, other people need to win too, because we're all interconnected. And if it's only good for me and it's a take from you, it's actually a take from everybody because we're so interconnected. And that belief system really will, if you come and experience a training with us, that leadership test will rock you in every possible way because it'll show you what you actually believe around winning in a really beautiful way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the people are starting to realize that we have to evolve beyond some of the current paradigms that have been leading humanity. One of them is a war. You know, it's like, man, can we not realize that war is just destroying people? It's like, you know, so there's industries involved. We understand what's going on now. It's like, okay, so how can we, you know, make the world a better place? And
Yeah.
it's using these types of philosophies, understanding, no, we can have cooperation and we can have consensual relationships. We don't need coercion and we don't need to initiate violence on people. There's something over here, and
Yeah.
we can go over here. There's a philosophy called exit and build, which is exiting the systems and building the world that we want to create. And this is like, you know, private schools or private health clinics, private grocery stores, these types of things. And that was one thing that I really want to show some respect for Klemmer was during the whole pandemic thing. You guys didn't shut down like so many other companies. You guys actually allowed the trainings to continue and practice freedom of choice. And I was like, oh, this is a good company. This was, I guess, maybe 2 years ago when I did the first course. And
Yeah.
I said, oh, well, this is, I don't know what these people are doing, but I love it already. And we talked about personal responsibility. And I think that's
Yeah.
what the trainer talked about when I came in there. I said, "Oh, because I'm not against the masks or the jabs. It's just like if that's what you want to do, totally fine. But don't
Totally.
force me and don't force, you know, the businesses that we go to do this." So, can you
Yeah.
talk about personal responsibility? I know it's a big topic, but it seems to be that this is the solid foundation to build the new world as being responsible for me, you're responsible for you. How can we make it a win-win and get along together regarding personal responsibility?
Yeah. Some key things that we stood on during that time frame. We believe at Klemmer that and Brian Klemmer actually wrote a book called The Compassionate Samurai. And that book outlines 10 character traits of what he coined a compassionate samurai, somebody who was all about service and contribution and also got things done. Samurai actually means to serve. And so that was this philosophy. So when we go back to these core character traits, we, and I want to create some clarity, we did shut down certain aspects of our company in alignment with um, the government regulations at certain times in different areas. And this,
Mm,
and we honored what was given. And the second that
mhm,
that was not a law or a requirement, we gave people choice. So our whole philosophy was that people could be personally responsible for their own choices during that season. And if somebody's health dictated that they shouldn't be in a large crowd, they didn't come. And if they wanted to wear a mask, they absolutely could do that. And if they
mm,
something else. So we operated within the guidelines that were given. And to the best of our ability, we gave people the opportunity to make personally responsible choices for them and their body and their community. So for us, we believed that empowering transformational leadership trainings were absolutely essential when we were in such a chaotic season. How do we ground people? How do we give people tools? How do we inspire reconciliation and forgiveness and kindness? And um, that was a lot of what we were in it for, was we're all in this together. How do we create a win-win, right? Because everyone had a different belief and was on a different point. How do, when we have two directly opposing views, how do we still
mhm.
generate a win-win scenario? And that's really was our come from around personal responsibility and honor during that time frame. Personal responsibility just meaning you have the ability to choose. And that's really our come from.
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, the ability to choose is so important. I was going to talk about the freedom of choice next, or choice in general. I think there was some portion of the course that covers that, but
Yeah.
choice is such an empowering thing. And when anybody tries to take it from us, whether it's family or business or government or whatever, it's like, we lose something of almost our identity that no, I get to choose. This is my life. How important is choice in your philosophy and practices?
So important. And this might stir it up. I don't think anybody has the ability to take our choice from us without consent. It's like our God-given will. Now, there can be constraints on our choices and things along that time frame, and I still get to choose how I feel, even in a restraint. You can't take that from me. So,
Mm,
book that's very, very famous, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor
mm,
Frankl. I mean, that's foundational around like our ability to choose is so internal, even in the worst possible circumstances. You cannot take my ability to choose.
mm,
And that to me, that book is just profound. And
mm,
the ability to choose is the basis of personal responsibility, which is the basis of freedom and liberty, really, even more than freedom, liberty,
mhm.
true
Yeah.
liberty.
That's right. Yeah, for some of the people who haven't heard about that, Viktor Frankl, I believe, was in some concentration camps, and he studied people that survived and didn't survive, and the people that survived are the ones who made meaning of it, and for the people who didn't, gave up hope and were totally despaired. And so, like, if you can find meaning in the craziest situation, I mean, that's a terrible situation. I hope nobody ever has to go through that. But we saw that also in the US where the Japanese people got interned. And so in Australia, they were doing that as well. So I'm like, what was going on during these times? It was crazy mayhem. And I think that's a more reason for leadership. We can talk about
Yeah.
that because when I look around during the times, I'm like, where are the moral leaders? I mean, it used to be like Martin Luther King or maybe Gandhi or somebody, not politicians, but somebody in the community. Oftentimes it is pastors. And there were some pastors that stood up, and I really respect and honor them for putting God above the government. And, there's the story like where Daniel, the law was that you can't pray, but Daniel's like, I'm going to pray in public and I'm going to open the window. And if they arrest me and throw me, in jail or throw me in the lion's den, so be it. Even if the lions eat me and God doesn't save me, I really love that story where it's like you choose what matters to you. Everybody has one life, it seems, and this is very precious. And so you get to choose how you invest your life and what kind of decisions that you make because life is hard in general. So I guess to say that, the moral leadership and maybe is there any position or training that Klemmer does about moral leadership or doing what's right or because I haven't gone to the next level.
Yeah,
I've
totally. uh, and I believe in all of our trainings for so many different reasons. And we are a neutral company in a lot of facets, but the thing that we will always stand on are what we believe are the qualities of a compassionate samurai. So the beautiful part to me is we don't want to tell you what to think. I don't have any business to tell you how to vote politically. I don't have any business to tell you what to do with your body. And our aim is to empower people to truly think for themselves and to come from a place of personal responsibility, to come from a place of honor, to come from a place of honesty, to live from a place of compassion and contribution. And so for me, the training there is because moral leadership, quite frankly, could look different for so many different people. And I believe that there is room on the field for people to play leadership from so many different positions. I'm a big football fan. I don't know if you like football. Uh, and a quarterback is not meant to do the same thing as a cornerback, which is not, offensive defense. They have different positions on the field. Even within the offense, there's different positions. A lineman needs to be doing something different than the quarterback needs to be doing for them each to get to operate in their full capacity. So for me, it's going, this isn't what I don't think you should do this. And are you coming? Are you living because you're circumstance driven by what's happening in the world? Or are you living a character driven life based on a personal conviction for something specific? And that to me, like, if I can weigh all of my choices through, is this what an honorable woman would do right now? Is this
Mm,
what a committed woman would do right now? Those are questions for me that support me in staying on track towards um, my best self.
that's right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the word honor is rising more, and I think this is where it's going as well. Is to be honorable, to be good, to be to do right, and even when I think MLK's quote is the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy.
Yeah.
I was there. Oh my God. So that's like over 50 years ago. And so for the men and women out there, the challenges are coming and there are agendas against the children, at least. You guys know I published a book about the history of the school system and the agendas behind that to make obedient consumers, clerks, and soldiers. And it's like, is this for real, man? And so we want to talk about solutions, and that's what this show is about. So voluntary living, transformation, I really love, and um, developing the next generation, developing your own leadership. So let's talk about that. So Klemmer Leadership is the name of the company, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. Climate leadership training. Yeah.
Beautiful. So what is leadership and what should or what would a wise person want to know about leadership and even leading themselves?
Yeah, and that's where leadership starts is the ability to lead ourselves is really going to be foundational in terms of how we lead others. And that's what we're all about. We're all about the 3-day training that we offer most often is called personal mastery. And it is all about mastering yourself from am I making conscious choices? Am I living the life that I'm designed to live? Or am I living a circumstance driven life? Am I taking personal responsibility? And this pursuit of personal mastery, when we really embrace that, then we make the kind of difference we're meant to make. Then we make the kind of impact we're designed to make when we're really living from that place of personal responsibility, personal liberty, personal freedom. And that makes the biggest difference on the people who choose to follow us. And I think everybody's influence is designed to be different. And there are people out there who are living smaller than they were called to live because of circumstances or whatever has happened. And now's the day to stand up, put your shoulders back, stand up straight, and go, hey, I do have what it takes. I am capable of continuing to work on myself in such a way that I can lead me and I can lead others.
Yeah, that's such a great point about living small. And I came from a very small town, Mount Shasta, California, and you just grow up in this picturesque mountain town. It's like, everybody waves at each other, and it's this kindness. It's pretty beautiful, but there's an entirely new, larger world outside of that. And I think people, if we start thinking bigger and playing bigger, now is the time to do that because of what's happening. You and I are able to have this conversation onto interwebs for free, basically, to get these kind of ideas out there of
Yeah.
voluntary living and transformation. Because I don't think any political party is going to save us or me,
Yeah.
like left or right. They seem to be similarly positioned on the same bird. And, some of the people out there have read the Declaration of Independence like I have, and that says the just powers of government are derived from the consent of the governed. So this comes knowing that you own your body, I own my body, and we are literally like the kings and queens, like we own this kingdom. Some people call it Temple of God or whatever somebody wants to call it, but this is special territory. This is special property that we are living in and that we were gifted at birth. So I define wealth in a variety of ways, but one is to breathe, to hear, to eat, to feel, to touch. We're rich already. And there's also the financial side of it, but just from a self worth side of it, understanding we're already worthy, we're already special, we're already powerful. And now it's time to take the next step into making mistakes and facing our fears. So, what would you share with someone out there who maybe realizes that yes, they are a unique creation and they're special, but these programs stop them? Let's say the program of fear or even fear of making mistakes. These two things seem to be lodged in so many of us that we want to look perfect, right? As you said, we all have flaws. But how would you help somebody overcome fear or even be more courageous in life?
Yeah, so many different things about courage, and courage and boldness are just I have so many different quotes my mind's like.
Absolutely, all of it. I mean, there's so much, right? You guys do so much with
There's
it.
so much on courage and living life from that place. I had a mentor that used to tell me that most people think that fear is this like thick brick wall when really it's a thin veil. And
Mm,
that if you walk into it
mm,
directly, it pretty quickly evaporates to where you're on the other side going, oh, that wasn't as it wasn't as heavy, thick, hard as I thought it was gonna be. And then
mm,
there was a movie a long time ago about somebody who took over a zoo. I don't remember the movie exactly.
mm,
And it was like, what if you could just step into courage for 10 seconds? Like what if
mm.
it all it took was 10 seconds of unapologetic courage?
I love it.
Could you do it for 10 seconds? So that's another
Yeah.
one that I absolutely love on courage and
Mm,
boldness. And uh, fear is really an illusion, isn't it? Like at the end of the day, fear is just false evidence appearing real. That's a very famous
mhm,
saying. And for me, if I can stand in courage for 10 seconds, if I can be the person that I believe I was designed to be for 10 seconds, what could change? And that has served me really well for many, many years, remembering that one little line from that movie so many years ago. So I would encourage people if you are in a fear of making mistakes. One of my favorite things to tell people is mistakes are proof of life.
mm,
And if you're not making any mistakes, then you're probably playing too small of a game.
mm,
Because in order to grow, in order to, it's going to cause disruption at some level. You're gonna fall and get back up, knock down 7 times, get up 8. And that practice gives you muscle and strength to get better and better and stand in more and more courage, whatever that looks like for you. And I don't think that it has to look one way, but what does courage look like for you in this season? As a listener. And if you can stand in that kind of courage for you, you're going to gain muscle and belief that you can take the next step and the next and the next.
mhm. Yeah. Absolutely. So important to play big and think big. Is there any techniques or exercises that you do to help people break out of thinking small or having these sunglasses of, I'm only allowed to, play this game? What was the quote from the guy? He says, "It's not that people have big goals and miss, it's that they have small goals and they hit." So it's
Yeah.
like they're shooting so small because again, that's how we've been taught and trained, but then
Yeah.
opening up the possibility of playing a bigger game and possibly failing and making these types of mistakes. I feel like people need to hear like it's okay to make big goals and fail and
Yeah.
stumble. The people that are doing big things out in the world, they're not going to judge you for failing and stumbling. It's going to be the people who are not doing anything, who are in the bleachers, looking down on the arena. I don't know if do you guys use that analogy at all, like being in the
In the
stands,
arena.
being on the field.
We do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And that's the reality of it, right? Critic is the easiest job on the planet.
mm,
And to be a critic is the easiest job on the planet. And for me, you can sit around and then this big difference between what we do. And I think, I don't know if other training companies do it the same way we do. I haven't seen it as much. It's less about us having one specific lesson for you to learn to think bigger. And the whole training process that we do is going to meet you where you're at for you to have a personalized revelation that's going to serve you in what more, better, different looks like in your life. Because for
Mm.
some of us, that's taking it on in a way where we start a podcast or we write a book or we speak on stage or we take a stand in a certain way. Some of us, that's our call. Some of us, it's within our home, it's with our children, and it's with our spouse. And I don't think one is bigger than the other. It's what's big for you, what's more, better, different for you in this season, in this space, in this moment. That's where we want to meet people and give them that revelation that's going to support them in the next thing for them that's big, more, better, different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what came also is I don't know if I can say it. We can delete it if not. But like one of the phrases I got was, how can I um, love and support you, or how can I help you feel loved and
Yeah.
supported, something like that.
Yeah.
That phrase was really empowering. I never have been asked that before in my life, and so I'm doing this exercise with a partner, and tears come up, and for them as well, it's like, how can I love and support you? It's like, wow, I've never been asked that because God bless our parents or the people around us. They just don't have these tools of language to open these doors of
Yeah.
expression. Even
Yeah.
from a male perspective, like we're not taught so much about love from like an agape love or from a friend. It's more like romantic love. So when you say you love somebody, it's always, interpreted one way, but it's like, no, I can love you as a human being, as a member of the human family. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's happening. This word honor, I think we are getting to the point where it's like the age of honor, the age of morality, to do what's right. There are these agendas to make good people do bad things, and we saw that with bringing up Viktor Frankl, or I think there's a movie out, I can't remember, Pastor Benioff or something like that.
Mhm.
He was like participating in some of the stuff with the wars, but at some point, silence is betrayal of your own values. You must say something. You must speak up. So to be bold and to address that, hey, we don't know what's going on, but we want to do what's right. And if somebody believes in God, that you're under God and you're maybe in service to God or a child of God versus child of other people. Voluntary living is about voluntary relationships, and we're all equal, and nobody has the right to force us or coerce us. And this seems to be the new paradigm where uh, everyone's going to do what they want in righteousness and goodness, as long as you don't harm other people. And it is intergenerational, which brings up an excellent question. I never heard this concept. And maybe before we talk about the concept, let's talk about your father, Brian Klemmer, and his great work with creating Klemmer. And you said you're coming up on a 30-year anniversary of Klemmer. Can you talk about his creation of this organization? And then we'll talk about the intergenerational component.
Yeah. So my dad, my father, Brian Klemmer, he started the organization in 1995, which means we are coming up on our 30-year anniversary in business. If you're a business owner, you know
Yeah,
that
big
that is
time.
a huge, huge, huge deal. And he had a mentor who taught him. He learned from, he worked for a very long time. His mentor died in a plane crash, and after that, he worked for the company for a few more years before he went out on his own, and he founded Klemmer. So we like to say that we were doing leadership before it was cool. And and really, I think that our context is really unique in the leadership space. And what we stand for in terms of being compassionate samurai is something that's been a lost art. People usually swing one way or the other. Usually they're all compassion, no results, or all results, no compassion. And we believe that we're both. And that's what we're committed to doing. Our mission statement has been the same since he was at the helm of the organization before he passed in 2011. And
Mm-hmm.
that mission statement is to create bold, ethical leaders who will create a world that works for everyone with no one left out.
Mm.
And that mission statement, it's radical, maybe impossible. And
Mm.
one of his favorite songs is The Impossible Dream. And that Just it might be impossible, and it's something that will forever keep a fire in our belly because there will always be a need for bold ethical leaders. There will always be someone who's potentially being left out. And how do we stand and be bold and be ethical and stand for people and stand for a world that works for everyone with no one left out? And that's
Mm.
our crazy cause in the best possible way.
Well, I love the cause, and as crazy as it sounds, I think it's going to become the norm, hopefully, in the future. And just rest in power,
Yeah.
brother Brian Klemmer on doing this work because, like you said, he passed away 12 years ago now or more. But the
13.
organization, 13, the year that the organization is going on, and I was so inspired in his book, or I think it might have been in the course,
Yeah.
but it was definitely in his book. Who talks about
Both.
the 500-year goal, and I was like, that took me some months to process. It's like I've heard of 5-year goals, I've heard of 10-year goals, maybe a 20-year goal, but a 500-year goal. And I got so inspired by that because it's something clicked for me because there's people that are doing good work that I think should play a bigger game. And there's people doing bad work that they are playing a big game. So it's time for the good people to step into like, let's just
Yeah.
swing for the fences and let's create an amazing vision. And I've heard
Yeah.
the acronym BHAG, which is like big, hairy, audacious goal. It's like
Yeah.
what's the big, hairy, audacious goal? And to say it, I think you can only share it with people who are crazy, like us, to have some big goal. Other people who are just like, playing small, they're like, yeah, no, it's not. Again, back to the critic. You can't, you won't, it's impossible, blah, blah, blah. But you're like, you know what? It's possible. So talk about the 500-year goal concept, if you would,
Yeah.
please.
And just because it came up, my dad used to say, "Great, let them think I'm crazy, because the crazier they think I am, the more liberty I have." So that's
Mm,
my reframe on when somebody thinks something I'm doing is impossible. It just means it's impossible for them. It doesn't mean it's impossible for me.
mm,
Um, yes, 500 years. He had a 500-year plan,
mm,
and his vision was past what he knew his physical body would
mm,
sustain. He didn't think he was going to live 500 years. And he
mm,
knew that his legacy could if he stewarded it well. And he knew that there was a mission and a vision that far extended past just him. And so he wrote a 500-year plan, which was a encouragement from a mentor. If you read Brian's material, you'll see that. And the difference between Brian and so many other leaders is he actually did it. And he
mm,
had it written down, and it's not detail oriented, and it is big picture focused. And I believe that 500-year plan is the reason that my co-owner Kimberly Zink and myself could pick up the torch and run with it. And why we're
mm,
still in business today is because he left a legacy in leadership that was not done when his body was complete. And he
mm,
really believed, we believe, that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and
mm,
that means we're not done when our body is done. We're just getting started. And it's been an honor to be able to live within the legacy that he left, and then transition it and make it both. We're really into both, and both what he left for us to take on, honor everything that he did and stewarded, and add to it with what is unique about Kimberly and myself as we continue to grow the company and the legacy.
mm. So good. Yeah, to have a 500-year goal, you must be a madman.
Yes,
Or,
absolutely. He
right?
was for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, how was it growing up with him? Like,
Yeah.
are you an only child? Do you have siblings too?
I have two older brothers. Yeah. They're
Okay.
6 and 8 years older than me. And yeah, I actually have many book titles in mind. One of them I really want to write at some point, where I'm down the line, you will see a book from me, living in a legacy, because I think there's a lot of people that talk about leaving a legacy and not a lot of people
Mm,
who talk about living in a legacy, which has its own unique gifts and challenges.
mm,
So growing up with somebody who was incredibly powerful in the leadership realm. The most beautiful part about being raised by my father is that being a child in his home, I would not have had any understanding or awareness that he was a leadership facilitator or that he was
Mhm.
some guru, and that was not who he was or how he showed up or what he came from. He was so personable. He didn't talk about doing something different on the planet. He did something different, and that totally separated him from many of the people that I've heard talk about leadership. He actually lived out leadership, meaning he didn't coach me on you've got to
Mhm.
take personal responsibility. He listened, he was with me. He he took personal responsibility. He modeled it and he walked with me through it. And those are things that I really honor about my dad is that
Mhm.
he wasn't some person on a pedestal. He was a real human doing the work, not talking the talk.
Mm. So powerful
Yeah.
that leaders do it. They are the example, and this is where the heavy lifting is that I've noticed too, is that yes, we all can talk and a lot of people talk, but it's like to do it and to put yourself at risk, whether it is making a video, making a post, or writing a book or doing something. We're putting ourselves at risk, and that just comes with the territory, and that's just, you
Yeah.
got to deal with it. It's going to happen,
Totally.
failure, mistakes, and these kind of things. But to do it and to be around people that are doing it, and even having the compassion component. That's what I love also about what you guys are doing. Where does compassion come in? I don't think we talked about compassion because that seems to be a key part of the
That's so true.
compassionate samurai. How important is compassion, and where does that fit into your guys' philosophy?
100% important. And so is the samurai component. Like both are 100% important because there's a lot of people that are out there being samurai for the cause,
Mm,
and they're losing people
mm,
uh and they want influence over. And so for me it's less about the fight and it's more about reaching out and connection and kindness and
mm,
forgiveness and and not at the expense of truth, honesty, or anything like that. And most people are one or the other and have a very hard time living in this both and place
mm,
uh of love and compassion and kindness and forgiveness. And the
mhm,
second that I choose that somebody else is wrong in order for me to be right, or all of those things, I've lost this compassion, empathy, piece to me that really wants the best for all of humanity and people, not just one subset of people, which brings us right back around to win-win. I don't believe that you can really stand for true win-win without compassion.
I agree. Is there a definition of compassion that you have, or yeah, any type of way to describe it to people? It's a word that I had to learn about, in my spiritual journey. But how about you guys? Is there some way you describe it or define it?
That's fascinating. I don't have a definition necessarily. What's your definition of compassion?
My definition is to feel for other people or feel as other people. There's a component of yeah, kind of seeing us in each other, kind of
Yeah.
like, we have a different exterior, but then we're still going through the internal journey of what is it to be a human being? What are we doing here? Like all these things, ego and humility. And I think that's where I find the best place is just
Yeah.
humility, the idea earlier, which like I already know that, or I know that, versus what Socrates taught me, which is there's one thing that I know, and that's that I know nothing.
Yeah.
And just, you've heard that one? I was like, did
I
he?
not recently, and I love that. I really
I-
do.
I'm like, if this guy really said that, what an awesome guy. And they said he's one of the wisest guys
Mhm.
ever to say that. So just
Yeah.
kind of humility and the
Humility.
compassion is I don't know what this person is going through, but
Yes.
I've gone through some heavy duty crap too. And I think that comes with the territory of being human. So whether
Yeah.
it's, getting our basic needs met or excelling in business or with employees or learning new skills, like all these things. When you go through that, you're like, I feel you, man. I understand
Yeah.
what you're going through versus making you wrong because I'm better or whatever the programs are. And so
Yeah.
compassion,
Walking in their shoes.
yep, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine is in, yeah, being in their life. If you
Yeah.
had their upbringing, and this is why I have a lot of compassion, for parents out there. As I do homeschool consulting, and I'm a principal of a private school. I do early high school graduations, so I have to not really teach the kids about the philosophy of learning and self-direction. It's more the parents. So helping them understand, hey, in my philosophy, the world is the classroom, and anything and anybody you can learn from can be your
So
teacher.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why I love your organization, because this is um, voluntary learning, and it's people that want to improve themselves. And
Yeah.
the idea that you're going to get a degree or a diploma and you're finished. This is a flawed idea. Um, the ceremony is called the commencement ceremony, and that means to begin. So there's a big conversation about education, and also let's talk about something before the time runs out here. You have youth programs for
We
children.
do. Yeah.
What are the distinctions between the adult program or the youth program? And yeah, what are the distinctions?
You
Because I'm
are
so
you ready
curious.
for the worst marketing tactic on the
Yeah,
planet?
yeah.
We don't allow people's kids to come unless they've attended our trainings. Most people want to
Mhm,
fix their kids and they don't want to do the work on themselves. And quite
mhm,
frankly, we think that you're going to get the best investment into your children when you're willing to do the work on you. And if
mhm,
you're willing to come do that work, then we would love to work with you and your families. We'd be honored to. Uh, and it gives us a foundation for us to actually get to do the work together. So I say that because a lot of times people want to sacrifice their own training to send their kids. And the reality is, the best work you can do for your kids is the work that you do on yourself. That's from our
mhm,
perspective. And then the
mhm,
secondary to that, because it's a both and, not an either or, is yes, we
mhm,
do trainings as families for kids 5 to 11. I take my kids every year. They love it. They
mhm,
ask to go back. They want to participate. They want to come back and volunteer when they're older, all the things. And that's all about how are we, it's discovering sunglasses of how we're operating
mhm,
as a family and what's working and what's not working and what's next. And
mhm,
then we do our adult trainings, but designed for teenagers, which is more like summer camp. And that's, again, you get to be not just a graduate of our work, but of our advanced level work in order to send your kids to that training so that you know what they're getting. Because as you know, you work with children. We want to make sure that whatever we're giving them is something that you believe honors them.
mhm.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
that's what we do. Can I jump back to the compassion
Yeah,
conversation
yes,
for a
yes. Let's do
second?
it. Let's do it.
Because you mentioned some things that I thought were so relevant in compassion. And as you were talking, really just kind of stirring my heart in terms of what does compassion really mean. And you spoke to it, and something that we teach in our training sometimes is about the illusion of separateness
Mm,
versus the reality of oneness.
mm,
And that level of compassion is going, I do have compassion for the fact that I don't know what's going on in your life, and we are more one than we are separate. And every time I look for a way that we're the same instead of different, I embrace a different level of compassion for humanity that didn't exist before. So that's a
mm,
really powerful piece that we do in our training, and just concept in general that supports in compassion for me
mm,
and for the
mhm,
people that I know and I train. And
mm,
the other gift that I was given by a mentor that has served me every day of my life, quite possibly, which may sound exaggerated, and it's been a belief system that I've adopted. And you're going to think I'm crazy, listeners will probably think I'm crazy, and it's the belief that I've chosen into, which is every single person I'm in front of is in the best expression of love that they have in this current moment. That
mm,
person is in the that person who did me wrong, hurt me, tried to control me, whatever the thing is in the best expression of love that they have in this moment. That has radically changed my life. Because when I
Mhm.
choose to believe that about other people, now I have a bridge or a connection point instead of a divider. And I don't know if it's true or not. Who cares? It works to create compassion in me towards people that I otherwise would create distance, separation, pain, anxiety, all this stuff around.
Beautiful. Yeah, they're the best expression of love. Yeah, there's something to that point, which is like one of my little phrases, like everybody's doing the best that they can with the
Yes.
knowledge, awareness, and conscious that they have. And
Yep.
whether they're not, it's just a good frame to
Yeah.
see them as, because I mean, any person who would have any type of consciousness, they are trying their best, you know.
They
I mean,
are.
they have all these programs and all these different, stories and such, but it's like they're trying their best. So as
And we're
visionary
all
lead,
just so human, like
that's right.
just so human. And what's the
That's right.
Stephen Covey quote? We want to base other people on their actions, but we want to be judged on our intentions. It's like that's the place of compassion.
Okay, before we run out of time entirely, can we talk about intention mechanism, or is that
Yeah.
okay? Let's talk
We
about
can talk
that.
about the concept. I won't talk about the exercise, but I'll talk about
No,
the
no,
concept.
don't do the exercise, just the concept, and then we can talk
Yeah.
about your book, and then we'll cut loose.
Cool.
So, in the personal mastery program, there's an idea called intention mechanism, and I
Yeah.
thought that was genius. What's the basic understanding of this concept?
Yeah, so we present this as how to solve a problem when you have no idea what to do. And we present this $1 million formula, the formula of champions. And quite frankly, it is all of those things to me, and many others have generated well over $1 million based on this one formula. And that's intention plus mechanism equals results. And that formula has radically changed my life. It has separated my excuses from my results and created clarity and fuel for my dreams and my goals and my visions. And I've seen do that for countless other people as well. And it's all about intention being your deepest, most passionate commitment. And when you get clear on that thing and then you raise that, you will see every result in your life increase for the better.
Hmm. That's right. And so that formula is intention plus mechanism equals result. And the intention is, can we give them the percentages? Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna say that your intentions always equal your results.
Mm,
Most people would guess that it's 50% mechanism, 50% intention. Your intention always equals your results. And that's
mhm,
because there's an infinite number of mechanisms on the planet to do any one particular thing. And if you come
right.
to the training, you'll have an experience of this because it's easy to talk about it and be like, oh, that makes sense. But what do you do when you're squeezed? How do you
Mhm,
actually show up when the rubber meets the road? That's what you learn in the actual training, which is what makes it so powerful, is the experiential nature of it, and to see how you what you actually believe is at play instead of your intention equals your results. So that whole training is designed for you to discover what your deepest intentions are based on results, and then you can
mm,
actually shift in order to create more alignment between what you say you want and your results, because what you want has nothing to do with what you create. Your
mhm,
commitment is what has everything to do with what you create. And your deepest, most passionate commitment is your intention. So I have an
mm,
entire book about it because really it is a deep concept. It's anything that sounds simple usually has a ton of depth to it. It's a lot
mhm.
like that. So I have written a book that's over here called
Yeah,
Life
let's hear
by
about it.
Intention.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's hear about
Life
your
by
book.
Intention.
Hmm.
Uh,
Life by
I
intention.
published, yeah, published this. It became an Amazon bestseller in April of 2021. And it's all about that formula: intention plus mechanism equals results. How to solve a problem when you have no idea what to do. Powerful, powerful, powerful for people who are out there. And what you say you want is not aligning with what you are actually getting. This is going to
Mm,
help you sift, filter, realign yourself with your goals and your purposes, um, crush your excuses, and design the life of your dreams.
that's right. And that's what time it is, brothers and sisters on the planet, is to go after our dreams, get onto the court, get into the arena, and play and enjoy life and to not be afraid of the alleged mistakes or failures or these kind of things. And I want to thank Krystal for being here and sharing some of your wisdom and some of the experiences. Some of the people could see that there's so many different ways. It's not just knowledge, but you have the actual props and we have so many cool things to say. We invite you to go to
Yeah.
their courses. Any closing thoughts or any events or things you want to promote? People where people can find you here as we wrap up in the last few minutes.
Absolutely. If you really want to come and embrace change in your life, I strongly encourage you and invite you to join us for a personal mastery training. It's got a money back guarantee. That's how much we believe in what we do. You come, you attend all 3 days, and you don't find value personally or professionally, we'll give you your money back because we believe you're going to come and have the transformational kind of experience that David and I have been discussing here today. So, come check us out, www.klemmer.com/PM. That stands for personal mastery. It'll give you a taster of what we do and upcoming events.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Krystal, for being here and sharing your wisdom and for your leadership. Your father is a champion. You're a champion. All the trainers I've met at Klemmer Leadership have been amazing beings. Even the attendees have just been amazing people. And I think you and us and we are the hope of humanity and the people listening as well. We're talking about win-win relationships. We're talking about changing ourselves, not worried about changing other people. And I think this is the way that we're going to make the world a better place. And I want to thank you for being here and listening to Voluntary Living with me, David James Rodriguez, where we are building a world based on consent, self ownership, and freedom. We'll see you
Yeah.
on the next show.
Take care.
Thank you.